Good morning, students. Welcome to the enrichment classes for standard 12th. We were discussing questions on electric field. In the main classes, I have also discussed about potential difference, and electrostatic potential energy. I had given some assignments, and today I would like to discuss some of the questions from the exercise 2 of the given assignment. This is the first question. There is a regular hexagon of each side A. Charges plus Q, minus Q, plus Q, minus Q, plus Q and minus Q are placed at the vertices of the hexagon. We have to find the electric field on the line through this point O, that is the midpoint of this hexagon, on a line that is perpendicular to the plane of this figure. That means this is the line. On this line, at some point which is at distance x, this distance is x. At that point, we have to find the electric field. See, this question can be done very easily by decomposing these 6 charges into 3 dipoles. You can see, students, this is one dipole, plus Q and minus Q. This is second dipole, and this one is third dipole. Now, if you remember, we have 2 charges, minus Q plus Q. This point at distance x on the line perpendicular to the plane, that line is passing through the center of each of these dipoles and is on the perpendicular bisector. So it lies on the equatorial plane like this. You know what is the formula for electric field? Symmetry says all these 3 dipoles are identical, and therefore their values of electric field at this point must be same. Even if you don't know the exact value, you can do this question. And you should know one thing, that at this point, the direction of electric field is like this, opposite to the direction of dipole moment. So this is E vector due to one dipole. Now imagine this point. At this point, consider this dipole. Here the dipole moment is from minus Q to plus Q. So opposite to that will be the direction of electric field. So at this point, I can't represent over here, so I am just for the sake of convenience representing this field here. Let that have a value E. Let me repeat it again, students. This is not the electric field at O. What I have represented in the figure is the electric field E value or vector at a point which is at a distance x. It comes out of this plane at a distance x on the line perpendicular to this figure passing through O. There the electric field will be in this direction like this. This is the direction of electric field due to this dipole. Likewise, this dipole at this point, now this is minus Q to plus Q, that is the direction of dipole moment. So opposite to that, so this should be the direction of electric field. Value by symmetry, we can say that must be E. Likewise, due to the third dipole, the electric field at this point should be in this direction. Now we have 3 vectors. Each of these angle you can guess 360 by 3, that is 120 degree. If we have 3 vectors of equal magnitude inclined at 120 degree, this is a question of a vector, students. You can find the resultant of these 3 by resolving along x and y axis. You will find the answer will be 0. So this is E, this is E, this is E. You can also see that if you find the resultant of these 2 vectors first, this one and this one, complete the parallelogram. So this magnitude will be how much? It will be twice of E times cos of half the angle between them. This angle is 120 degree. The half of 120 is 60. Cos 60 is half. Half and 2 will cancel. It becomes E. E in that direction. And already there is E in this direction. So they cancel and the resultant is 0. So that was simple question. Let's proceed for next question. Here we have second question. You can see there is a ring which is positively charged. Lambda is its linear charge density. O is the center. This ring is lying like so. That plane is YZ plane. perpendicular to this plane is the x-axis. On the x-axis, which we have taken passing through the center of the ring, perpendicular to its plane, there is a particle of mass m and charge q, which is projected with velocity v towards the center of the ring. So this charge is thrown in that direction. Location of this point is given as root 3r 0 0. That means it is on x-axis. So this distance is root 3r. Question it is asked, with what minimum speed this particle should be thrown so that the particle does not come back to the P. Why it should come back to the P, point P? You should understand it is positively charged ring. This charge is also positive. So it will be repelled. If we throw it with reduced speed, less speed, then because of repulsion this speed will reduce to 0 at some point, say here, and on account of the repulsion from the ring it will again go back to this particular point. So if you want it not to reach to this particular point, then you should throw with such a speed, minimum value of speed, such that it should at least manage to cross this center of the ring. Because if it happens to cross this ring and reach suppose this point, then it reaches on the other side of the ring. Now the force of repulsion will be in opposite direction, and that's why the charge will continue its motion forever to infinity in that particular direction. It can never in that case come back to this point. So it is this which we have to find. To find this minimum speed, we should use the law of conservation of energy. Remember, the electrostatic force is the only force acting on this particle, and that is conservative in nature. Being conservative, the total mechanical energy must be conserved. So total kinetic energy at this point, which I call as P, plus total potential energy. When I say potential, I mean electrostatic potential energy at P must be equal to the sum of kinetic and potential energies at point O. Now we have to find minimum speed. The minimum speed should be such that the particle just manages to reach point O. At O, it will just have 0 speed. Just it will cross this point with almost 0 speed. So at O, kinetic energy we can take it as 0. Now at P, kinetic energy is half m. Because this kinetic energy is 0, this is the minimum value of kinetic energy. So I'll write V minimum square plus potential energy at P. Now how do we find potential energy at P? Potential energy for this charge at this point is that charge multiplied by potential at this point P due to the ring. Remember, potential energy of this charge will be equal to potential at this point due to this multiplied by this particular charge. Likewise, potential energy at O is equal to, when this charge reaches here at this point, its potential energy will be equal to Q into potential at that point due to the ring. Now we have to find these two things, potential at P and potential at O, the center of the ring. Let's first find potential at O. For that, you choose an element. Let that element have charge dq. This radius is how much? R. You know, for a point charge at the center, at some distance r, the potential will be given as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught times that charge divided by that distance. So to find the total potential, we have to integrate this. If you integrate this, because r is constant, this r will come out, and integration dq will give you the total charge on that. Total charge, we can write it as q. But in question, they have not given total charge. Rather, they have given lambda. So what is lambda? Lambda is your total charge by total length. Total length is nothing but 2 pi r. So q we should replace by how much? Lambda multiplied by 2 pi r. R will cancel, pi will cancel. Simplification you can do yourself. So we have got V naught. Then we can find potential at point P using same method. First we will take a differential charge element. Now if you choose choose any element on this particular ring, its distance from the point P will be how much? This will be root under this square plus this square. This is radius, that is r, and this distance is root 3r. So plus root 3r square. Again, that is constant because all these elements are at same distance. It will form a cone-like structure, and therefore the potential at P due to this ring will be how much? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This total charge will be again Q upon that distance or this distance. Now how much is this distance? Root 3r whole square. This becomes 3r square plus r square. That is 4r square. So it becomes 2r. Again Q we will substitute. Q how much we will write? Q will be equal to lambda into 2 pi r. Is this clear? How did we get 2r, students? That is just this particular distance. So we have got V0, we have got Vp. Put these values of V0 and Vp in this particular equation and solve it for V minimum. This is the method. You can easily get this particular answer. So on solving you will find it comes out to be under root lambda upon 2 epsilon naught times mass of charge by, that means I can write Q here. So lambda Q upon 2 epsilon naught m is the answer. Let's see the next question. Next I would like to discuss question number 5 of exercise 2. For your convenience I have also written the question on the board, but I would suggest you to see the assignment which I had given to you. The question is like this: two identical balls, identical means in terms of mass, density, radius, etc. They have different charges Q1, Q2. Initially have same velocity. They have same velocity initially. So this is Q1, this is Q2. Their initial velocity is same. I should draw arrows of same length. This is for first ball, this is for second ball. Here I have written Vi vector, here I have written Vi dash vector, but they are same. Their velocity I will write as V vector. Both in magnitude and direction they have same velocity. Now an uniform electric field is applied, because of which, if you know if there is electric field there must be some force. Because of this electric field, force acts and therefore the direction as well as the velocity of these charges might change. Now the question what it is given, the velocity for first ball changes the direction by 60 degree, which I have represented here. This angle is 60 degree. And its value becomes half of its initial value. The initial value, if I take it as V, then here this value is V upon 2. This initial value will also be how much? V. For the second ball, the velocity changes direction because of that same electric field by 90 degrees. So this angle is 90 degree. In what proportion will its velocity change? It has become half of initial value. By what factor will this change? That is asked in the question. Now let's see, students. Here there is some electric field. That electric field will exert some force, and because of that force there will be some acceleration. First we would like to find acceleration of a first ball. That I will write as A1 vector. How do you find this? Please observe carefully. Acceleration is nothing but change in velocity by time. How much we can write for final velocity? Now final velocity, if you see carefully, we can write it in terms of components. It has value how much? V by 2. It makes 60 degree with x-axis. So it has one component here, one component here. This is V by 2 cos 60, and this will be V by 2 sin 60. Therefore, we can write final velocity like this. V by 2 cos 60 is half and this becomes 4. So V by 4 I cap. Then here we have V by 2, then sin 60 is root 3 upon 2. So it becomes 4. But its direction is opposite to y-axis. So I will write minus j cap. So this is our final velocity. Minus initial velocity will be how much? It is along x-axis and its value is v times I cap upon t. So this is the acceleration of first particle. Likewise, tell me what should be the acceleration for second particle. It should be change in velocity by time. What is final velocity? We don't know. We have to find. Let that be vf dash. And what is its direction? Its direction is along negative y-axis. So I'll write minus j cap. And along x-axis, what was the initial velocity? So minus, so this is final velocity minus initial velocity. How much will we write? V times I cap. Initial velocity is same for both of them and divided by t. It is this vf dash which we have to find in terms of v. So we have got a1 and I should write here a2. Now can you guess what should we do next? See, our a1 vector is nothing but force on first vector by its mass. Because the particles are identical, they will have same mass. Now how much we should write for force? q1 times electric field. And a2 vector will be how much? That will be force, that is q2 times e vector upon mass. Charges are different, so I have written q1 and q2. Fields and mass are same. Now this I can write like so. q2 I will put it out. I will divide by q1. I will multiply by q1 e by m. You can check it out. So q1 will cancel. You will get that particular thing. So therefore our a2 vector is nothing but q2 upon q1 multiplied by this. Now you can see the q1 e by m is nothing but a1 vector, where a1 vector is this much. So we'll equate this thing. Instead of a2 vector I will write this. Instead of a1 vector I will write this. If you put these two things, so a2 and a1 you will replace by this particular equation and this particular equation. So a2, you will get one equation. You have to equate their x and y components. So for a2 how much will we write? Minus vf dash j cap minus v I cap. T will cancel, so I am not writing that, is equal to q2 upon q1 times a1 vector. A1 vector how much will we write? V by 4 I cap minus root 3 v by 4. Oh, I have not simplified it, no? These two I caps we should put them together. This is v by 4 minus v. So how much will we get? 1 by 4 minus 1, that is minus 3 by 4. Minus 3 by 4 v I cap. So I should rectify here. This is for a2 and this is for a1. Okay. Instead of v by 4 I should write minus 3 v by 4 I cap and this minus root 3 by 4 v j cap. Now you see this particular equation. In this particular equation we can segregate I cap and j cap part. What is the component of I cap here? It is minus v. And what is the component of I cap here? It is q2 upon q1 times minus 3 upon 4 v. So v will cancel and this will give us the value for q2 by q1. Our q2 by q1 will become equal to, so minus signs they will cancel, v will also cancel, this becomes 4 by 3. So q2 by q1 becomes 4 by 3. This we have got on equating the x components, I cap. Let us now equate the j components. If we equate j components, let's see what we get. Minus vf dash is the j component in the left hand side. In right hand side we will get q2 by q1 and j component is this minus root 3 by 4 times v. Now q2 by q1 is how much? 4 by 3. So this will write as 4 upon 3. So 4 will cancel, minus will also cancel. So this gives you the answer vf dash is equal to v upon root 3 as the answer. So it becomes 1 by root 3 of the initial value. This is what was asked in this particular question. We have next question. Students, if you remember, in this exercise I have already discussed question number 7 and question number 9. I am leaving some of the questions for you to try yourself. They can be done by you. Next, I would like to discuss question number 10. Here we have a cone given whose slant height is L, AB is equal to L, and charge Q is distributed on its sloping surface, on this surface, lateral surface you can say. The curved surface of this insulating cone has a charge Q distributed uniformly over it. Question is, we have to find the energy. This is energy. Calculate energy required to take a test charge Q from infinity to A. We have to bring a test charge Q from infinity to this point A. And for this, how much energy is required or how much work is to be done. Both of them will be same. So you know, students, how to find this work done or energy required. This energy required is nothing but the total work which you have to spend in bringing this charge Q from this point to this point. And work done, you know the formula, it is charge multiplied by potential difference. So charge is Q, potential difference between these 2 points. So V at A minus V at infinity. Now if you remember, by convention, we choose potential at infinity to be 0. So this becomes 0. So our question now reduces to finding potential at A. We have to find what is the potential at A. What is point A? Is the apex of this particular cone. Potential due to point charge, we know the formula, it's 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. But here we don't have point charge. Let's see how do we calculate potential due to this cone. For this, what we shall do, at some point, say at distance x from the apex, this we choose as origin. At distance x on this is our x-axis, the sloping length. We choose a ring of thickness dx. So this thickness is how much? Dx. Then if you see on this particular lateral surface, you will get a ring. Like so. What is the thickness of this ring? Thickness of this ring is dx. It is circular ring. So this is our circular element. Due to this element, so it has some charge, we'll call it as dq. First we'll find its potential at A, and then we will find the total potential by integrating. Its potential at A, we'll write it as dV. So potential due to a ring, if we have a ring, then potential on its axis is given by what formula? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into this total charge, that is dq in our case, divided by this distance. That distance in this case will be how much? Now we have to assume some of the parameters. We choose this particular angle as alpha. This radius we take as capital R, and this small radius we take as small r. So potential of this, now this distance is x. So this is 1 by 4 pi epsilon charge on this ring divided by x. Now how will we find dq? To find dq, you see, dq is the charge on this particular ring. Charge q is distributed on the entire surface of the cone. So charge per unit area will be how much? Q upon pi r l. Is this clear, students? Pi r l, you should know, it is the curved surface area of the cone. So Q upon pi r l is the charge per unit area. This I have to multiply with area of this ring. Now this ring has a thickness dx and this radius is how much? R. You will find its surface area will be 2 pi r into dx. That is this perimeter, that is 2 pi r of the circle times the thickness dx. If you are not very much satisfied with this particular statement, let me try to satisfy you. See, if we have this cone, I have to find this particular area. This area will be area Suppose I wish to find this particular area, then I'll find area from this part, area for this part, and from that I'll subtract area of this part, surface area. So for the bigger part, for the bigger cone, the surface area will be how much? Pi RL. A smaller ring, this part has radius R. The outer part, outer cone will have slightly greater radius, that will be R plus dr. Inner cone has slant height x. Outer cone will have slant height x plus dx. The outer cone will have area, surface area pi times r plus dr times x plus dx minus the inner cone. Inner cone will have area pi times its radius, that is r, times its length height, that is x. Now if you multiply this, we will get pi will be common, r times x plus r times dx plus x times dr plus dr times dx and minus this one rx. Pi we have taken as common. Now in this you can see that this term rx and rx will cancel. So what will be left? We will be left with r dx, x dr. Now the differential lengths dr and dx, both of them are very small, so we neglect their multiplication. Now what is the relation between x and r? You can see in this figure, students, sine alpha is r upon x. In this triangle you can see sine, this is also alpha. Sine alpha is equal to r upon x. So I can write r is equal to x sine alpha and dr is equal to dx sine alpha. Alpha is constant. Wherever you choose the element, alpha remains same. Instead of dr, I'll write dx sine alpha. So how much will be left? Pi. This is r dx plus x dr. Instead of dr, I'll write dx sine alpha. Now you see x and sine alpha. What is x times sine alpha? That is r. So it becomes, the x sine alpha, if you write as r, it becomes r dx plus r dx. That is 2r dx and multiplied by pi. This is what I had written somewhere, 2 pi r dx. Is it clear, students? So let me rub this part. So now when you are convinced that this surface area is this much, so this is the charge on this particular element, put this value over here. So pi will cancel. So what is left? So this becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. dq I'll write as q upon rl times 2r dx. So this is the potential due to this ring. Therefore the total potential will be obtained by integrating this. So we will have integration of this particular thing where the variable x will change from this point to this point, that is 0 to L. This length is L given. So 0 to L. Now this integration can be carried out easily. So you can check for it. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Q is constant, 2 is constant, capital R is constant, capital L is constant. R, L, 2, Q. Now what is left behind? Integration from 0 to L of small r dx. Now why I did not take small r out? For different elements small r will be different. R you will put as how much? This relation. R is equal to x sine alpha. Instead of r we will write x sine alpha times dx. Now sine alpha is constant. So sine alpha you can take it out. So we are left with integration x dx. What is integration x dx? That is x square by 2. So this becomes x square by 2 from 0 to L. So this can be further solved. So this becomes 2 2q sine alpha upon 4 pi epsilon naught RL L square by 2 minus 0. So this is the answer to this particular question. Now, in question they have not given capital R or alpha. I have taken them for convenience. So sine alpha we should remove now. Sine alpha will be how much? You can see in this big triangle, sine alpha is equal to perpendicular upon hypotenuse. That is R upon this length is L. So R will cancel. So I'll rub that part. L into L will becomes L square. So L square will also cancel. 2 will also cancel. This 2 and this 2. So how much is left behind? Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught. But I don't see this equation to be correct. Potential dimensions don't match here. That means I have committed some mistake. I misdistributed this x. I substituted the value of dq from here. It is 2r dx rl. 2r dx rl. This x I had missed. That's why this mistake is there. So integration, it will be only dx. I had done integration x dx, x square by 2. But this x will cancel with this x. So we'll be left with integration dx, that will be 0 to L. So some corrections are to be done. And that's why this formula must have L in it. There will be L. Because there was L square, sin alpha, when we'll put the value, sin alpha is equal to R upon L. So I am just doing it again. This is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q2 sin alpha will write as R upon L. That L and this L becomes L square, and this R is like so. Integration dx will become x. From 0 to L it becomes L. So 1 L will cancel, R will cancel. So it's just a matter of simplification, students. So that part I missed, that's why we got wrong answer. So it becomes 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. The correct answer will become into 2 times that q upon L. Now this is not the thing which is asked in the question. This is the potential at the apex which we have found, VA. Our answer is to find the energy needed. Energy needed we have written q times VA. We have found VA. So in that VA we have to multiply q to get the energy required. So energy required will be how much? Q times this much. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught 2 times q times small q upon L. So this is the answer to this particular question.